I like to think of LinkedIn as a place where you get to promote your brand as an individual. The same way like you can have a product or a service, At the end of the day, you want to promote your product. You'd put out the best features about it. LinkedIn should be used as that platform where you get to portray the best of you.
Welcome to the Hired Hub podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the complexities of remote work and pushing your career forward.
Whether you're tuning in from the busy streets of Latin America or any corner of the globe, we're here to give you tools and insights to succeed in today's dynamic job market. I'm your host, Gabby Morales.
And I am your co-host, Jess Torres. If you're a recent graduate eager to leave your mark or a seasoned pro looking to redirect your career, you can join us as we explore the endless possibilities of remote work and career growth.
Get ready to unlock your full potential with the Hired Hub podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Hired Hub. Today, we're talking about LinkedIn and resumes. We're also going to have a very special first guest on the podcast, someone who's specialized in recruitment and can give us their perspective regarding these specific topics of LinkedIn and resumes. So, Jess, how are you today?
Doing great. I'm very excited for this second episode. I'm really happy to be here again. And well, we know that job search can be a struggle, but that doesn't mean we cannot have fun with the process, right? So we want to share some memes that we found and made our day preparing this episode. We're going to try to describe them, which we know it's a really big challenge, given that this is an auditive podcast, right? But we just posted them on Hired Remotely's LinkedIn profile in case you want to see, like, or even share them.
So actually, the first meme that I saw we were doing all this research, right, about, LinkedIn and resumes, because even though we all manage a LinkedIn profile at this point and have our own resumes, we still needed to prepare for this episode. There was a fun meme that I saw. Like, we all know who Kermit the Frog is, and the specific meme of him like in fetal position in the bed. So I saw this hilarious meme with that image that says, when I start a job search and I have to update my resume. Because that always happens to me. Like every time that I'm like, okay, I need to see what's out there. I need to see what may be interesting. The worst part, or maybe like the biggest roadblock, is just starting to prepare or update that resume.
Yes, definitely. And it's like, oh my God, I forgot this, or this is a problem. I have to do it. I'm like, that's so frustrating. It's like another step. But yeah, that happens a lot. Just comment and if that has happened to you, probably on the LinkedIn post. Another meme that we saw and found, it was a hilarious one where Henry Cavill is posing on the red carpet for the for the DC Justice League movie, and Jason Momoa is sneaking up him from the back. Well, there is a name where Harry says, "The resume you painstakingly spent 4 hours writing, and Jason is the typo on it." So it's like you try to see that everything is perfect in your resume, but then you find out how a typo. Has this happened to you before?
All the time. I don't think I've made a resume before where I've done that, where I've created. Sometimes I try to like spice up my resume. I create a new one, in a new style, because I think that, you need to be updated. And what happens is that I transfer all the information, or I want to update it. And then after I sent the proposals, after I sent the job offers, then I see the typos. And I'm like, oh, God.
It's really common.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It's terrible. Another meme that I saw that I found just hilarious is one from Dwight, from The Office. Have you ever seen that show?
Ooh, I love that show.
Yeah, Dwight is like one of the most iconic characters in TV in general. I just love him. Well, there's a meme that talks about when you feel your resume is too short. And so you have to add like special skills to it, in quotation marks. It's a scene of him telling one of his coworkers that he can raise or lower his cholesterol at will, which is, very special skill, but I don't know if it's something that's related to, it should be related or relevant to a job position, any kind. But I feel that every time that I want to maybe just elaborate a little bit more on my resume or anything of the sort, I have to start thinking, really, what are my special skills? But just to spice it up, just to give it a little bit of edge on top of it. So definitely, we had a lot of fun just preparing this episode. We saw these memes, like Jess said at the beginning. We've shared them on LinkedIn, those three, and then a couple of more. And we would love to know what you think about them. And if you relate to any of them, or if you want to share your own memes, you can also do that, because LinkedIn doesn't have to be all professional. You can still have fun with it. And we actually found a lot of great content on LinkedIn that can really just make a little bit more entertaining your job application process. Yeah, like we said before, today we're going to talk about LinkedIn profiles, just managing your LinkedIn page, and then resumes in general. Like I said before, we have a very special guest because, specifically, it's our very first guest. This is barely our second episode of the Hired Hub, and we're very happy to have her here. Do you want to do the honors of introducing her, Jess?
Of course, we are really excited to introduce Deborah Baraka from Webtour Designs, a New York based, fully remote digital marketing agency. She is a human resources expert and she reshapes on workspace dynamics and leading on recruitment efforts. Deborah's vibrant approach includes organizing virtual team building events, boosting engagement and retention in a fully remote setup. Her honoring master's degree in human resources management focuses on optimizing remote work strategies. With her inclusive practices and innovate solutions, Deborah is a key player in Webtour Design's recruitment process. And since today we're talking about resumes and LinkedIn profiles, who better to join us than Deborah, who's at the forefront of recruitment strategies. Welcome, Deborah. How are you today?
Hello. Hi, Jess. I'm very excited to meet you guys today, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
We are happy to have you here, and we wanted to start of what it's LinkedIn for. We know what LinkedIn is because most of you guys came because of LinkedIn, but we wanted to know for what we use it, like what is it for?
Okay. According to me, I feel like LinkedIn is like the professional version of Facebook. I want to put it in a perspective that it's a fun platform, but in a work-related manner. So it's a place where you can showcase your work life instead of your personal life, just as we do in Facebook. So imagine it as a digital resume, a networking event, or a job affair, like all related. So you get to share your work experience, your skills, achievements, connect with people, because sometimes we forget that LinkedIn is just all about, applying for a job, but you can connect with people in your industry and even find new job opportunities. So I feel like it's a great space to learn from articles shared by influencers in your field or even leaders in general.
Yeah, I agree with that point because, like you say, I think a lot of people assume that LinkedIn is just for job applications, and the real power of LinkedIn is in it. It's in its algorithm, just like any other social media. So to be able to actually be rankable and really appear in job searches, which is the appealing part of LinkedIn, you need to be able to move. You need to be able to interact in LinkedIn, and then again, it offers so many other options for you to do that, and to not only apply to jobs, but like you also say, to self promote also, and management for your personal brand, and just being a part of an industry specific audience that has content for your professional needs. So you may use Instagram or Facebook to speak passionately about how much you liked Saltburn or anything of that, but then LinkedIn is to really just speak passionately about what you do professionally. And I think that's a great way to explain it. Um, Deborah, I wanted to know, when do you think is the right moment to create a LinkedIn page?
Honestly, according to me, I feel the best time to start is as soon as you're thinking about your career. So it doesn't matter whether you're still in college or even high school, because at the end of the day, you really know what you want, or maybe you're having in line what you want. So not about just looking for a job. It's about building your professional identity, your brand, as you said, and network over time. In short, starting early gives you a head start. It doesn't have a specific time, but starting early gives you that head start on connecting with professionals, following companies you admire. It gives you that motivation to know exactly what you want to do. And even just learning about different career paths that you may want to venture in. Plus, I feel it's a great way to showcase probably if you're just getting out of college or university. So it's a good way to get those opportunities of maybe, getting into any internships that have been advertised, or even for yourself, just showcasing any internships that you've taken part in, any volunteer projects or projects you're proud of, or part-time jobs. So in short, I'd say you should start it as soon as possible. There's no specific timeline to it. Think of it as just planting a seed that will grow with you through your career. So start it as soon as you want to develop your career. Yeah.
Agreed. I have a side question there, because LinkedIn is not the only platform that serves for job applications and just exactly what we said, which is self promotion and everything. Why is LinkedIn more important than any other platform in this criteria in this area?
I think it gives you the platform to not only just, we assume LinkedIn is only just for creating or finding opportunities for your job. But I feel it's a platform where you can really source for so many things career-wise, get to network yourself, get to build your brand as an individual, get to even, showcase your projects that you've featured in or you've participated in, and just get to share insights that you may have. Because also when you look at LinkedIn, you'll find great insight from other people. You can engage, you can promote yourself, you can voice yourself. And through that, somebody can recognize you. So if you have a platform where you can put all that, that's a booster for you. And I think LinkedIn provides that platform to be able to, diversify your thought as well as your experience, as well as yourself as an individual.
I remember when I was starting to build my LinkedIn page, I think it was when I was finishing university, which I think it should be during university that you can do it, which you're going to start being out there in the world. Like, hey, I'm here. You can hire me for this and that. And I was always getting in just to see job applications. But now, if you ask me, I love LinkedIn as a social media platform. I can see what my friends are posting, but I also can see what people are talking about. If they're talking about career growth, personal growth, it's a complete platform. So that's why I love it. And I also wanted to ask you, Deborah, have you known any common mistake or any mistake to avoid when created a LinkedIn profile? Like someone could say, I don't know, I did this when I was starting creating my LinkedIn page, but this was a huge no, like a common mistake that most people do that you shouldn't do.
Yeah. I mean, I'd go to one of the most basic ones, not using a professional photo, because that's one of the basic things that it's almost common sense, but not common sense at the same time. So people need to know or understand that it's important to have your LinkedIn photo very professional. It doesn't mean that it has to be probably from a photo shoot or something of the sort, but it should just portray your personal, image in a respectable way. Your face should be very clear. We tend to use a lot of filters and stuff, of course, to brighten how we look and everything of the sort. But at the same time, you need to make it professional in a way that it's very clear that if I meet you today, I'd be able to say, this is the person, and connect your personality to it. The background itself shouldn't be distractful. Make it as clear as possible, communicating what really you are as an individual. Think of it as the first impression that somebody would have about you? How would you want to
It's
portray
like this is
yourself?
not Instagram, so we don't want a photo like Instagram.
Exactly. Exactly.
I've also seen people posting a profile picture where they appear with other people. And it's like, maybe not. Maybe try to avoid that because, again, the profile picture is to see you, is to see exactly who you are.
Exactly. Because here you're trying to sell yourself out. So you need to be as precise as possible. I need to know this is the person that I'm going to engage with and stuff like that. So it's important. And another thing that I feel we also get to look at it as, just a common thing is like the headlines and summaries. A common mistake that people do is having vague headlines and summaries. But you need to understand that your headline and summary need to clearly state who you are. Because I like to think of LinkedIn as a place where you get to promote your brand as an individual. The same way like you can have a product or a service, At the end of the day, you want to promote your product. You'd put out the best features about it. And LinkedIn should be used as that platform where you get to portray the best of you. If it's headlines, get to have headlines and summaries that are clearly stated, which state clearly who you are, what you're looking for, precisely what you need. Avoid these generic titles, like be very specific so that if it's a headhunter or a recruiter going through profiles to find somebody, they're able to get the exact information needed in terms of your skills, the ambitions you have, and all that. So that's another thing that I would say. Another thing also, when it comes to the summary, people tend to ignore the summary section a lot. You're like, okay, these are just summaries or are not summaries at the end of the day. But I feel this should be a platform, a section where you get the chance to tell your story, your aspirations, what make you unique, like sell yourself out. So leaving it blank, as much as it may not look like it's a very important section or something of the sort, but it's a missed opportunity if you look at it from a very professional perspective, because we want to see a lot about you and all that. And another thing would be treating it like treating LinkedIn as, a resume dump where you just get to throw all your everything about you just there, like not in an organized way. So while it's important to list your experiences, your skills, I feel LinkedIn is more than just your resume, because your resume is very structured. It has the job responsibilities. It has the referees, experiences, achievements, and all that. But for LinkedIn, as we talked about before, like what's LinkedIn, what makes it unique and all that, you're able to engage with people. You're able to share insights, participate in conversations. And that's one thing people forget. Like I'll go to LinkedIn, I'll be like, okay, I'm looking for a job. So what am I going to do? I'm going to update my profile and put everything there. And then I'll leave it. So the moment I get a job, that's it. Or if I've not gotten a job, I'm just going to leave it that way and get to check it maybe later when I'm looking for a job. But if you want to build yourself as an individual, you need to be in constant check of your LinkedIn profile. Get to engage with people, because you never know. Through that, you can share insights, you can get connections, you can network with people and just broaden your knowledge. You can participate in conversations. And, through that, maybe somebody is like, oh, I was looking for this position, maybe a marketing, a social media manager or something of that sort. So the fact that this person is engaging or this person keeps on, posting, and we get to interact and see that they're very mindful or they're very passionate about their job, then you get to see like, this is somebody that you would want to work with, because they're just not about, I don't know what we always call, they're colors that get to describe personalities. I don't know what we always call them, like those people who just go by the book. Not sure whether you guys have had it. I don't know whether it's the blues or the red. I can't tell. Like it's just so structured, but you need to bring out a diverse and more engaging profile. So I would say those are some of the common mistakes.
Yeah, so absolutely, just using it as a place to put your experience there is not enough. You need to be able to to specify the information
Yeah.
in a detailed manner, not only the summary and the headline, but actually I've seen it a lot that people they add an experience and then they don't add a job description. So they add the job title, but then they don't explain exactly what they did. I think that's also like a common mistake because again, like a lot of those words are searchable. They become keywords. So you need to treat the whole profile as it works for the general internet per se. Like you find things on the internet because you search for them. And when employers look for you, they're going to look for keywords. They're going to look for, the specific activities that you carried out under a certain role. So definitely leaving that blank is a risk. It's a weakness inside your profile. So definitely, that's something to avoid when you go through the process of creating a LinkedIn profile. It needs to be very detailed, and the more sections that you fill in, the better because it gives you a better probability of being found. Um, Another thing that you said there is the networking part. Exactly. That's the keyword. LinkedIn is not just for job applying, but also just networking per se and just letting yourself known in the community or in a specific industry. So, like you said, if you're commenting on social, if you're using it as a social media and you're using it to, to portray and to convey your professional opinion on relevant matters, it's more likely for people to find you. People are going to maybe read a comment that you left, an insightful comment that you left, and they're going to search your profile. They're going to look for your profile, and they're going to see that maybe you're a good candidate for their business, and they might reach out to you themselves and ask you to apply to their process instead of it being the other way around where you have to seek for the job. If you're there actively, it's more probable that you're going to be seeked out by um, employers themselves. So definitely that's a good advice to give there. Deborah, I wanted to know, what features does LinkedIn have that we can take advantage to create an ideal profile? I know you were talking about the summary and the initial headline and everything, but what are other things that candidates should be looking into within LinkedIn to complete their profiles and actually be searchable for employers?
I think one that I would say that is not everybody gets to really focus on is one feature is the LinkedIn learning section where you get to complete, if you are maybe, yeah, like if you want to participate in some course or maybe you're applying in a certain job or you're proficient in a certain area, but you want to boost yourself, completing courses on LinkedIn learning. One thing that we don't know is that it enhances your skill set, but at the same time, it shows commitment to professional development. Because gone are the days where you just want to hire somebody who's just, they just want to work. You want to hire somebody who's goal-oriented, somebody who's focused, somebody who wants to develop themselves professionally. So people don't know that we have these courses on LinkedIn, and you get to even get badges that can be displayed on your profile, which can boost yourself. As I said, at the end of the day, yeah, LinkedIn should be a place where you can promote your own brand. And how can you promote your own brand? By having things that make you unique or make you conspicuous. And that could be like a badge that is attached to your profile. Another section related to that is the accomplishment section. This section usually allows you to showcase your project, your publications, the languages you're proficient in, courses, and all that. Any other significant achievements that don't necessarily fit in your experience or education sections, because those sections are quite limited. So you have the accomplishment section where you can display all that, detail your accomplishments, and this would help you, it will provide a more holistic view of your capabilities and interests, so that at the end of the day, when somebody is looking at your profile, they're able to see things that you've done. Because if you have to compare a LinkedIn profile and a CV, LinkedIn profile, you're able to list all those accomplishments, and they can be even in visual forms. You can attach your certificates, you can attach those documents or even links them. Sometimes the CV might be detailed because you want to, to make your CV specific to that job platform. So those are some of the features that we can look at beyond just the basics ones like the profile photo and stuff like that. And I think another section could be like the recommendation section, which I had mentioned previously.
Yeah. That's my favorite, and I feel like that's the most underestimated section, by the way. Employers look at that a
Exactly.
lot.
But people forget this usually adds a lot of credibility to your profile. Recommendations from even your colleagues or your supervisors or even clients that you've worked with. This usually acts as a personal testimonial to your skills, to your work ethic. Because at the end of the day, you want to hire somebody somebody that can work with people and somebody that has been referred to by people. Because what we always do when you're hiring somebody, of course, I can come to the interview and give my best. I can prepare for the interview. I can come and cram everything. Right now we have AI and everything, so I can put it there. I just, I saw there's a TikTok video I was looking at and somebody was showing the way they were preparing for they were actually in an interview. So they put their phone on the side and now the laptop. So the phone was detecting when they would talk and it would record the question and then get the answer. So they would be able to get the answer and tailor it to the interviewer's questions.
I saw
And I'm
that.
like, okay, wow, I know, like it would make you very impressed. I mean, the interviewers are going to be impressed with you and they're like, yo, this person is very sharp at the end of the day. But then there's more to just selling yourself out. We need to see actions. And how can we do that? By calling your references or getting recommendations and all that. So this would really add a lot of credibility. They would show your work ethic, that you're not just a person that is going to use AI to, speak everything. But at the end of the day, there are results. We can actually see tangible ones, intangible ones. So it's great that we have these endorsements for the skills to further validate our expertise. So actively seeking recommendations do encourage, credibility at the end of the day. Then I think one last section that I can mention is I think it's usually the skill section with skill assessment. Have you guys seen that section?
Yeah, the skill assessments is the now I think we need to review LinkedIn more often, but I think those ones are really important. Like we do need to go daily because we know social media changes every day, and we can have different like
Absolutely.
yeah, we can have different tools or different like things that LinkedIn can offer us. But I don't know if you have used those ones. Have you been able to use those ones?
Yeah, I'm a little bit exactly. And I'm a little bit confused because I don't know if you're referring to the skills section, like the ones where you just add skills that you have, or is it more related to what you were mentioning at the beginning, whereas that you get tested for certain skills and then they you get like a certification from LinkedIn that effectively you know how to use that. Which one are you referring to?
Yeah, the second one. We have the skill section and then we have the skill section with the skill assessments where LinkedIn gets to test your skills.
That's a cool one. And again, it's really great because again, LinkedIn already has its own reputation of trying to be as credible as possible, and they've created this section where they can give
Mm.
the certification themselves like, hey, this person knows about this. So it's really just leveraging on their own credibility to really give you a little bit more of an edge. It's just a matter of you being able to take the time and make those assessments and take those assessments because some of them are a little bit long, but they're definitely worth it. Like you say, they show up as badges in your LinkedIn profile. From the recruiter mode, which I think it's also important to mention, all these features that we've been mentioning, they really have a special weight because
Right.
they can be used to filter candidates. And at the end, from the recruiter mode, they can you're and it's not to say it in a bad way, but we're statistics, we're data in the recruiter mode. So when you have a more complete profile, it's more probable that you'll show up as a good candidate, as a strong candidate from the recruiter mode. So definitely people will be seeing your profile better if you have more of those sections completed, like the skill sections, like the recommendation sections, like the licenses and certifications. If you don't fill that out, it's less likely that recruiters are going to find you as a strong candidate, or the system itself from the recruiter section
Exactly.
is going to find you as a strong candidate, because then you're going to have to rely on the fact that people go into your profile or they see your resume more in detail and really check from the summary what you say. But really, if you fill in those sections, it's like adding data to that system, which it will make it easier for recruiters to find you.
And now that we know that we're all data, or yeah, like what do you have to do to keep appearing on employees' searches?
Ooh, that's a good question. What do you have to do to keep on appearing on employee searches? Yeah, that's a question we rarely ask ourselves. We're just like, okay, I've updated my profile. That's it.
It's part of the algorithm, right?
Exactly. And I like that there's something, Jess, you mentioned that when I was talking about the skills assessment, and you're like, oh yeah, we need to regularly review the LinkedIn pages and everything. And that's the same thing. It's important to regularly update your profile because you need to keep on going with the trends and update yourself so that when an employer is searching for a specific, profile, let's say previously you were project manager, and then later on you become, I'm trying to think, maybe you become a project director or something. So there's a distinction between that. There's the growth. So if you're not able to update that, and maybe you have the qualifications, and at this point an opportunity comes and I'm looking for a project management director, you're going to miss on that because you've not been able to update profile. So it's important to keep your profile current with the latest experiences that you have, the skills, the accomplishments, because this they help increase your visibility.
Yeah,
And usually LinkedIn favors active profiles in searches.
absolutely.
And that's why I insist on people being very active. Like, even if it's just about commenting, on somebody's post or engaging in conversations, resharing and reposting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, something, and again, it's just like carrying on that thought. Since social media in general is also always updating, LinkedIn is always adding new features. Like there's a relatively new feature, which is the interview prep, where they ask you ahead of
Yes, I
time
actually
interview
saw it.
questions,
Yeah.
which again, it sort of resonates with that idea of, having the AI at your side, just like preparing the answers for the questions you're being asked. But if you focus on preparing your answers for those questions before the interview, it gives you also an edge, because first of all, then you can answer more naturally. And
Yes.
the interview prep section, it also, like, from the recruitment mode, I'm sure that you can also leverage from that. Like, people can see the interview questions that you've answered and also see if you're a good candidate there.
Yeah.
And again, it's just like it just adds and adds more. Like, every time that there's a new feature, you should always look into seeing how you can integrate that feature to your profile. And a key aspect of that, a key, activity of that, is being active on LinkedIn, just not using it periodically, but actually throughout time. And again, like, it makes sense because LinkedIn is, I think, the most motivational social media I've found till now. Whereas in
Agree.
Instagram, I just doom scroll and I can spend time and hours just seeing cats and dogs videos and reels and everything. And in LinkedIn, I'm like, I'm productive. I can be anything I want. I see that on LinkedIn. So it's the LinkedIn also creates dynamics so that you can spend more time on it. And what best to spend your time on than actually showing yourself and showcasing yourself in a positive light to others to get the job opportunities that you want. So really, like, I feel like what you say is accurate, like, completely. Like, people need to stay active on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And another thing I just thought of, like, you remember at the beginning I was saying, think of LinkedIn as like Facebook, but now it's the work version. Like, you have the personal life on Facebook and then you have the work life.
Yeah.
So, like, you see the way on Facebook, I know right now a lot of people are like, no, we need to do Instagram, TikTok. Those are the latest ones. But I refer back to Facebook because it was one of the first, social platforms that we had. And you see on Facebook, you will realize we have groups you can actually participate in or you can join, like, related to maybe your areas of interest. Did you guys know LinkedIn also has groups that you can join?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's something else that we wanted to ask you about. Like, how can people use these groups and communities to grow their professional networks and show their skills? Like, because again, we know it's an important part, but then again, it's a very underestimated part of LinkedIn. So, why do you think it's important for us to leverage these features from LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think one thing or the most important thing about being active in groups is that it increases your profile's visibility. And that's the whole thing about being on LinkedIn. It's about increasing your visibility to reach your goals or ambitions that you have towards why you are on LinkedIn at the first place. So it positions you as a knowledgeable professional in your field and all that. You can find and join relevant groups, maybe related to your industry, and stay up to date with trends, connect with fellow professionals. You can join groups related to your skills. Look for communities centered around your specific skills or interests that align with your career goals. Or even you can look at groups, the way we said LinkedIn can be used to also network. You can also look for alumni networks.
I love that.
Maybe your university or company alumni groups. Like I remember my previous company, as much as I left it, I'm still in contact with some of the people because I got to connect with them. I got to see the previous colleagues that I used to have. We get to update each other, reconnect and network and share any great ideas that we have in place. And that's something that most people also don't usually look into, like connecting with alumni groups from your company. It's good to actually, maintain good relationships when you're working I know, of course, from time to time, you're going to rub shoulders with people, but at the end of the day, make sure when you're leaving that company, even tomorrow, if I see a job opportunity, I can be able to connect this person because we created a good relationship and we can connect or reconnect on LinkedIn and be able to, share a common background. So that's one thing, finding and joining relevant groups. Another thing would be to actively participate in these groups. You can join a group and just be there. Your work is just to be there. But it's important to, when you're actively participating, get to share relevant content. You can post articles. You can research findings, news relevant to your group's focus. So this would be able to show the interest and knowledge in the field. You can engage in discussions, comment on posts, repost insights that people have shared, contribute to ongoing conversations, all that. Or even ask questions or pose questions. Sometimes we just sit down and we're like, okay, what question can I ask? Or like you're having a question in mind.
Sometimes you're in a pickle at work and you just need to consult it. You need to bounce ideas with someone else. So if you're like part of a community, maybe like, for example, I work in marketing, so I'm part of several communities in marketing, and I always see these posts of people just asking what to do in these scenarios, and, uh, certain scenarios, and people just chime in and talk about how they would deal with them if they were the ones handling it, and it's also useful. So yeah, it's good to learn from your community, but also to stay updated on that, because maybe they're talking about something that you didn't even have an idea that you needed to be focusing on, or that you needed to be including in your processes, and now you read it and I'm like, oh, this is what I've been missing. So definitely I need to do that. So definitely it's just so useful, actually. Like, again, LinkedIn is not just a job application, it's definitely so much more. And it's just like a benefit for your work life in general, and the communities is just like an essential part of it.
Exactly. And it's something that I also just remembered, when you join the groups and you get to engage with people and get to network and everything, you will be curious to look, into the people that you're talking to, maybe go to their profiles. So we can also take opportunity of that, like go and stalk the people you want to stalk that you've connected with or you have been chatting with on the groups, and don't hesitate to send connection requests. Like if you find somebody interesting, through that, sometimes I go to LinkedIn and I just, look at the people that, like the groups that I'm in, and then you find somebody maybe is hiring, somebody is open to work or something of the sort. And with that, you're able to, personalize your invitation to mention the mutual groups or even interests, or just get an opportunity from that. Or sometimes even through that networking, it's also good to be proactive enough. Don't be a dormant person. Be proactive enough even in offering advice or assistance to group members or something of the sort. So there are so many things we can do with the groups. So many things. If we are to talk about it, we'll probably go up to tomorrow.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that we don't know about LinkedIn, and we probably might not know. But we wanted to talk also about the easy apply option. I don't know if you can explain to us a little bit more about just adding your CV to that LinkedIn as easy apply option.
Yeah, the easy apply option, usually the feature is actually a straightforward way to just streamline your job application process on the platform. And this is usually not offered by all job postings, but some do offer that. So the easy apply option allows you to apply for jobs on LinkedIn quickly using the information from your LinkedIn profile. And optionally, you can even attach your CV for more detail. So this would really help to quicken the process other than, like some platforms where some job postings where you have to, fill out your details and then it takes you to another page where you have to create everything and put your resume and stuff of the sort. But the easy apply option usually.
And that's something really good that Hire Remotely has is like you can literally easy apply. That's really great.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, you're looking at a candidate, you just want to get a job. Probably you've been out there, you really tarmacked for long without a job and you just want a quick process.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be frustrating. And to hear that, to know that Hire Remotely has that option. I mean, people should actually go and talk the bench and probably, who knows,
Yeah.
they might land on something interesting.
And sometimes it's like, yeah, I can easily apply and just upload my CV. Sometimes there are places that just ask you for more steps. And it's like, oh my gosh, just read the CV.
I saw another meme of that. It was like, LeBron James like saying, "What more do you want?" after I upload my resume, and then you're asking me the exact same things that I already have on my LinkedIn and on my resume. Like I have to fill it out again. Like the fact that LinkedIn already includes that. Again, LinkedIn is just a space that's made for you to spend as much time as possible just focusing on your career
Exactly.
and just presenting yourself. So the easy apply option definitely is amazing, and it's great when employers use it. By the way, it's really just the best. I know that we've segued into different matters. Like we started talking about the profile, just creating a LinkedIn profile in general, then using LinkedIn per se, like what the features, what are the essential features to use, and how to manage your social media, how to manage it as a social media to leverage your it and really obtain the best opportunities. Now we're talking about job applications. We went through the easy apply option, but then now we have to talk specifically about the resume because even though LinkedIn is very important, another essential part of applying to jobs is the resume. So, what do you think, Deborah? Is it better to have a detailed resume or a detailed LinkedIn profile?
Wow, that's a good question. I think when it comes to which is more important, whether it's a detailed resume or a detailed LinkedIn profile, I feel the answer largely depends on the context of your job search and your industry. However, if I'm to give my opinion in most like the modern job markets, the ideal candidate is someone who maintains both. Like why not just have both? Instead of trying to, how would I say it? It's more of, trying to just take a risk of let me just have one. Why not just have? I mean, an ideal candidate is someone who maintains actually both a detailed resume and a detailed LinkedIn profile. And I'll give you some few reasons why. So if you look at a detailed LinkedIn profile, normally it offers, of course, a broader narrative of your professional journey. We've talked about endorsements, recommendations, and it's basically just reflects your network's strength, right? So it's dynamic. It allows for regular updates, engagement with the industry and all that. But a detailed resume, it's tailored for specific applications. So you see LinkedIn is where you can put everything out there, literally everything that you want to put. But when you're looking for a job, we have specific things that recruiters will look for, or when job descriptions are posted, they have specific factors. So it's good to have a detailed resume, but tailored for specific applications. So they get to offer concise and targeted summary of your qualifications and achievements. But now LinkedIn will complement that by having all the other things. So together they provide a comprehensive picture of your professional persona. That's why I'm saying it's good to have both, because they complement each other. One will have everything and the other will be tailored specific to what is needed by a headhunter or a recruiter or, somebody who is looking for somebody to hire. Another thing, recruiters often use LinkedIn to search for and vet candidates even before seeing a resume, because at the end of the day, that's a platform that you can easily get. Resume, I have to personally ask for it or you have to attach it somewhere. But when I go to LinkedIn, I'll be able to search and vet a candidate even before seeing the resume. So a detailed LinkedIn profile ensures that you're discoverable. We talked about visibility. It helps with that to potential employers. So once you've caught one's interest, then a well-crafted resume attached to your application or sent via email can seal the deal by aligning specific experiences. And I would like to insist, CV, you can have a resume, very detailed and all that. But at the end of the day, as a recruiter, I will be looking for the specific aspects that are matching the job itself. So one advice that I'd actually give or suggest is that, yes, you can have your CV and put all in there, but whenever you're hunting for a job and you see a specific job profile, ensure it is specific to that so that you're able to easily increase your visibility and all that. And lastly, what I would say about, there are so many things I could talk about when it comes to whether to have a detailed or anything of the sort, is while LinkedIn is usually universally accessible and enables recruiters to easily find you, some situations still call for a traditional resume, whether in networking events, job fairs, or when applying through a company's career portal. You'll just find, even when you're going to, maybe a networking event somewhere, and you realize maybe you have common interest, or you're talking and I'm like, oh, I was actually looking for an HR professional. They will not tell you what's your LinkedIn profile. They'll be like, do send me your CV via email or, all that. So having both allows you to navigate, because on your CV or your resume, you're able to attach a LinkedIn link, and that would be an added advantage. So in short, for me, I'd recommend having both because they complement each other.
It gives you an edge. Like, again, it's not, you shouldn't be choosing between one or the other. It should be both. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's like having the best of both worlds, kind of. It's like it's necessary, And now that we have both scenarios or like both things, and that you can, as a recruiter, have both like your LinkedIn profile and your resume, and you can compare them. What are the things that you consider like sus in a resume? Sus as a suspicious, like when you get to compare both of them.
I think one of the most common ones is when there's one we always look at is the number. I mean, the time periods within different companies, So too many short-term positions to raise a question. Frequently changing jobs within apparent progression can suggest a lack of commitment or issues in job performance. So that's one thing that a recruiter would be like, And that's the first question they would actually ask you.
Like weird.
Are you somebody who's not just committed, or you're just somebody who's very unstable? You can't stay in a company for a long time. And nobody wants to hire such a person, because at the end of the day, you want somebody that you can invest in and somebody that can bring, value to your company. That's one thing. Another thing would be, in terms of employment gaps, like you'd get to a point you're looking at this person, maybe 2020 to 2021, they're in this company, and then 2022 is missing. And then maybe the next job, they're like in 2024. And you're like, why is this gap? And of course, you can't keep on explaining on your CV that between 2023 and 2024, I was doing this and stuff like that. So, of course, that's another suspected thing, and that is a red flag. So employers might wonder, okay, what were you doing during that time, or why aren't you employed? So there are so many reasons that we could talk about, but I think those are like one of the, main things that I feel are very, SAS-like, or lack of just detail in your, how would I say it, in the job descriptions, vague job descriptions of past positions or responsibilities can lead an employer to question the depth of your experience or your contribution to past roles. Like if you're not able to specifically highlight, it's just not about listing the responsibilities or the experience. There's more to that. Like get to list the achievement. As a recruiter, you want to see quantifiable, results, or at the end of the day, I'm like, if I'm a salesperson, I joined this company and I was able to increase sales from 20% to maybe 40% or 30%. I did this. At the end of the day, we want to look for that. But somebody who just highlights this. I mean, who knows? Probably you used ChatGPT or something of the sort to customize your resume or responsibilities you picked online. So it's important to make it as personable as possible.
And again, that point of achievements, of really accomplishments there, I think it's also very important to not forget in the resume, regardless of what you do, because headhunters will be looking at that specifically and will give you an edge based on that. You mentioned something about the gaps. I think this is one of the biggest concerns that people have because, again, nowadays you are changing up so much between one area and the other. Sometimes you may adapt a resume and maybe you want to leave out some experience that's not relevant to that position that you're applying to, and that's
Yeah.
what creates the gap. What do you think is a good answer when being asked about the gap? When you ask a candidate about a gap in their resume, what have you seen is a good answer on their end?
Honesty. You'd rather tell me you took a break because probably you went back to school or you decided to just, focus on yourself than lying. And, you can tell when somebody is lying, they over-explain themselves and, they fidget a lot and stuff like that. So the first thing I would suggest when addressing a gap in your resume is start with a straightforward explanation of the reason for the gap, whether it was due to personal reasons or whether you were laid off. I mean, this is actually something that a lot of people fear exposing to a potential employer, that you are laid off or, something like your contract was terminated or something of that sort. But it's important to be as honest as possible. Layoffs happen. They happen all the time in different companies. So be as honest as possible. Or if it's a decision to go back to school, just be honest about it, because this establishes trust at the beginning. Then get to highlight the relevant activities that took place within that period. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to sell yourself out to this employer. So you, of course, know they'd be like, okay, you took a break to do what? Okay, I took a break to go back to school. And then, so how did you benefit from that? So try to pick the mind of the interviewer by answering those questions. So if you took courses or decided to volunteer during that period or work on personal projects or pursue something that is of development to you professionally, share those experiences because it shows that you're proactive. It shows that you're committed. And you're just, even when you're not formally employed, that you can do something. Don't say when somebody is asking you, okay, so what happened between 2020 and 2023? And you're like, of course, I was laid off. And then what happened? I was just at home. If I am a potential employer or a recruiter or an interviewer, I'd be like, this is not somebody that I'd want to work with.
Correct.
Because they're not proactive enough to look for opportunities, even when there are no opportunities. Tell me you decided to, maybe volunteer in a certain place to just make yourself not idle, to make yourself useful, learn experiences and all that. Emphasize that even during this period, you learned a lot. Discuss how the gap served within that period for your personal or professional development. Highlight any new skills you acquired. Maybe you took a break to go to school, any improvements to existing skills and all that. So you need to connect the gap to the job. if possible, explain how these experiences or the skills you gained during the gap directly relate to the job you're applying for, because you want to sell yourself out to be the best candidate. For example, if I took a digital marketing course within that period that I was away, while between jobs and all that, and I'm applying for a marketing position, make that connection clear. Sell it out to the employer, because that would really help you to look more of like you didn't just take a break to do all. Yeah.
And as you said, I think it's really common to have gaps. The only thing that you have to demonstrate is like, hey, I'm not a lazy person. I'm still trying to grow. I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to do things that are passionate. So, and you said something, passionate about. And you said something really important also. It's like being the best candidate. So, what are the key elements that make a resume stand out to potential employers? What do you think those are the key elements that people see?
First of all, I would say when you're looking for a job and maybe you've seen a job posting somewhere, it's important to, as I've talked and said, and I will still insist, it's important to brand yourself. It's important. That would really help you. So looking at your CV, let it be more than just a document. Let it be a marketing tool that represents your professional brand. Discuss the in terms of like the structure and clarity of your CV. It's important to have a resume that is well structured to sell yourself out to the employer or whoever is hiring. Get to have your CV tailored exactly to what is needed, because as I said, it's very important to have specific CVs. You'd have all your details there, but make sure it is tailored towards that. Understand the job description that has been posted, because many a times, apart from the headhunters online and on the recruiting platforms, we also have this application tracking system. So it's important to have your CV tailored specific to that. And this will help, or rather they will increase your chances of passing through these platforms or catching their hiring manager's attention. It could be through identifying the keywords that are in the job descriptions. Look at the job descriptions, because in job descriptions, you will notice there are keywords that have been used there. Look for repeated words or phrases, especially those ones that relate to your skills or software or all that, because these are the keywords that are likely to pass through the application tracking system. And then, like, for example, we usually have the required versus the desired skill. You need to distinguish between the must-haves, which are the required skills, and the nice-to-haves, which are the desired skills. So it's important to have both, but prioritize including the must-have skills, and then and also find ways to mention any nice-to-have skills that you have. So customizing your CV or your resume towards that would really help you be easily identified by, potential employers. Also, there's something we mentioned in terms of achievements over duties. Like it's important to input your achievements, showcase your achievements, and, focusing on achievements rather than just listing duties, because we are looking at how you are able to deliver results. This makes the candidate more attractive. Key sections, dive into specifics of like what you are able to do within the organization. For the work experiences, like have detailed and specific experiences that you have. This would help. Like I just mentioned before, give quantifiable results, things that you did that are able to be, like let's say I'm looking for, like we have, let's say like a lead generation analyst or specialist. At the end of the day, I want to know how you were able to generate leads and how many leads were you able to generate at a specific time. Maybe for me, I need to know somebody who can generate leads at a very pace. So such things would really help a lot in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely so useful as part of of creating a profile, a resume that really resonates to the needs of the employer, actually, because again, you have so much to offer. But you really need to be as focused and assertive as possible so that people see exactly what they need to see to consider you a good candidate for a position. So definitely, like what you said before, of adapting your resume according to the head hunting position is essential. But then again, like you said, all creating this adapted resume based on, the highlighting of the accomplishments and achievements, presenting, even if it's possible, quantifiable metrics. What I also thought is using keywords, because again, even if if you send an email through a PDF, or you usually employers have databases that they can later search with through their candidates, and actually look for specific keywords. And really, if you have knowledge in specific tools or anything, you should point that out and use that as a keyword so that people can find you easily. And typos, really just be very careful of typos, I would say there, because again, it's if you have a bad word, if you had a typo there, it's not going to work as a keyword. But in general, it just gives you a better presentation, and just a better uh um
Exactly.
yeah, it gives a better first impression, because usually the PDF, the resume is the first impression. Resume and LinkedIn are the first impressions, so you need to make sure that it's clean and nicely done. Um, Deborah, I wish that we could continue this conversation. It's been so insightful. Um, I honestly hope that you can join us soon in another episode of the Hired Hub. I think we've had
I
such
would
a great
love
time.
to.
Unfortunately, we've reached the end. We're reaching the end of this episode. We want to thank you for joining us, Deborah, for trusting us, because again, like I said, you're the very first guest that we're having on our podcast, and we're so happy. We couldn't be happier to have you here. We also want to express gratitude towards our audience, our listeners who are tuning in. We know that there may not be so much right now, so many of you right now, but thank you for really just sticking to the end. We appreciate your support and the time that you dedicate to us. So I wanted to do like a brief recap of what this episode was. Again, we talked about LinkedIn profiles, like really the importance of having a LinkedIn profile in today's world, just knowing how to manage it effectively, knowing that it's not just a job application platform, that it has potential for so much more, and really the effectiveness of it depends on how well you use it as a platform, as a social media platform. And also, we finished talking about resumes per se, because LinkedIn is not the only thing important about the job application process. Resumes are very important. We want to encourage you. We want you to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you can. Visit our social media and Hired Remotely. That's where we're at right now. We'll be posting memes, but we'll also be posting much more valuable information. We're also connected to our Telegram groups. We want to see you there. We want to hear you there. It's the exclusive hub, the inner hub, we want to call it. We want you to join us there. And we want to talk about the next episode that we're going to have. I know that we've been talking about profiles and resumes. Next episode, we're also going to be sort of on the same kind of area. We're going to talk about specifically, and let me tell you here, about using AI for job search, which is, I think, key. It's really important nowadays. How do you really do good job search and cover letters? Which again is a very important part of the process. A lot of businesses nowadays are asking for cover letters. So we're going to be touching on those subjects. We really hope that you can tune in for our next episode. We hope that you are doing great. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Deborah, for your time.
It's been great chatting with you ladies and just sharing all these insights. I think I've learned one or two from you guys. So I am really looking forward to your podcasts and the recordings that you guys are going to be sharing, and just that I'm going to be on the lookout for more. So thank you so much.
That wraps another episode of the Hired Hub podcast. We hope you found today's discussion empowering and insightful. Remember, success in the world of remote work is within your reach, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert advice and engaging conversations. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach more people who can benefit from the Hired Hat podcast.